The year was 2287. Humans had finally reached the stars. For 15 years, Earth had been part of something bigger, the Galactic Council. It was a group of alien races that ruled the galaxy. Humans were excited to be accepted. They thought the galaxy was a civilized place. Captain Maria Chen commanded the exploration ship called Wandering Star. Her crew traveled through space looking for new things. They mapped planets. They studied stars. It was peaceful work. One day they picked up a signal. It was a distress beacon. The signal came from a moon in the Kepler 442 system. Nobody was supposed to be there. The moon was listed as empty. Captain Chen made a decision. They would check it out. The ship changed course and flew toward the moon. It took 3 days to get there. When they arrived, their sensors found something strange. There were buildings on the surface. There were also heat signatures underground. Lots of them. Someone was definitely there. The captain sent a team down to investigate. Lieutenant James Torres led the landing party. 6 Marines went with him. They wore combat armor and carried weapons, just in case. They landed near the largest building. It looked like a mining operation. There were trucks and equipment everywhere. But something felt wrong. Everything was too quiet. Torres led his team inside. They found an entrance to the mines. It went deep underground. The tunnel was dark and cold. Their lights cut through the darkness as they walked. They heard sounds, hammering, drilling, voices shouting. They moved closer. The tunnel opened into a huge cavern, and what they saw made them freeze. Children. Hundreds of children. They were human children. They worked with tools and machines. Their clothes were torn and dirty. Their faces were thin. They looked tired and scared. Torres could not believe his eyes. He activated his communicator. His voice shook when he spoke. He told Captain Chen what he found. The captain ordered medical scans immediately. The results came back. Every child showed signs of malnutrition. They had untreated injuries. Many had broken bones that healed wrong. All of them had strange implants in their heads. Neural inhibitors. Devices that caused pain if they disobeyed. One of the Marines, Sergeant Paula Diaz, walked up to a small girl. The girl was maybe 8 years old. She had a scar on her face. "Where are you from?" Diaz asked gently. The girl looked up with empty eyes. "Colony 7, they took us 4 years ago. I want to go home." Diaz felt her heart break. Colony 7 was a farming settlement. It was peaceful. Families lived there, and someone had stolen their children. Torres spoke to more children. They all had similar stories. Taken from outer colonies, brought here to work. Some had been slaves for 10 years. 10 years. The children whispered about other places. There were more facilities like this one. More children. Maybe thousands of them. Suddenly, alarms went off. The slavers knew they had visitors. Alien creatures appeared. They were called the Vorak. They looked like insects with too many arms. They carried weapons. The Vorak commander shouted orders. His soldiers moved to block the exits. But he did something worse. He activated explosives. He was going to collapse the mine. He would bury the evidence. He would kill everyone. Torres made a quick decision. His Marines opened fire. The fight was brutal but short. The humans had better weapons and training. But time was running out. The explosives were counting down. "Get the children out," Torres shouted. His team grabbed as many children as they could. They ran toward the entrance. The tunnel started to shake. Rocks fell from the ceiling. They ran faster. They made it outside seconds before the mine collapsed behind them. Dust and smoke filled the air. Captain Chen had already sent down more shuttles. They loaded the children quickly. Back on the Wandering Star, the crew worked to help the children. They gave them food and water. Medical teams removed the neural inhibitors. It was delicate work, but they saved every child. Captain Chen went to the medical bay. She spoke with the children. She recorded their stories. Each one made her angrier. These children had been stolen. They had been hurt. They had been forced to work until they collapsed. One girl pulled on the captain's sleeve. She was 9 years old. Her name was Emma. She had scars on her back from being whipped. "Will you tell my mom I tried to come home?" Emma asked. "I tried really hard. I promise I tried." Captain Chen knelt down. She took the girl's hand. She promised that yes, she would tell her mother. She promised Emma would go home. Then the captain went to her command deck. She opened a secure channel to Earth, to military headquarters. to Admiral James Kovalenko. He was the head of all human defense forces. The message was simple. It included video footage. Emma's scarred face filled the screen. Her words played again. Captain Chen's voice was cold and clear. They took our children. They enslaved them. They hurt them. Send everyone. On Earth, Admiral Kovalenko watched the message in his office. He was a hard man. He had fought in wars. He had seen terrible things. But watching that little girl broke something inside him. His hands shook as he reached for the controls. He activated protocols that had not been used in 80 years. Wartime mobilization. Full military activation. He sent orders to every human warship, every marine base, every defense station. The message was the same everywhere. Prepare for war. We're bringing our children home. The news reached Earth like a thunderstorm. Every government leader saw the footage. Every citizen watched the videos. Children with scars. Children who had been stolen. Children who begged to go home. Earth's unified government called an emergency session. Representatives from every nation met in Geneva. The meeting lasted 4 hours. But the decision was made in the first 10 minutes. Everything else was just planning. The vote was unanimous. Total military mobilization. Every resource would be used. Every ship would be prepared. Humanity would go to war if needed, but first they would try diplomacy. Ambassador Catherine Zhao was sent to the Galactic Council. She carried humanity's demands. Return all human children. Dismantle the Vorak Syndicate completely. Punish everyone involved. The council met on a massive space station. Representatives from 50 different species gathered in the main chamber. It was a beautiful place with crystal walls and floating platforms. Ambassador Zhao stood before them. She presented the evidence, videos of the children, medical reports, testimony, everything was clear. Everything was documented. The council listened. Then Councillor Thelnox spoke. He was a tall alien with gray skin and 4 arms. He was one of the senior members. This is unfortunate, he said. His voice was calm, too calm. But the Vorak operate outside our jurisdiction. We cannot interfere with independent operations. Zhao stared at him. Cannot or will not. Thelnox made a gesture with his hands. The distinction is meaningless. We suggest you negotiate a reasonable settlement with the Vorak. Perhaps a payment for the return of your young. The chamber erupted. Other council members nodded in agreement. Some looked uncomfortable but said nothing. A few species that looked like birds whispered among themselves. Zhao felt cold fury building inside her. You want us to pay slavers for our own children? Another councillor spoke. His species looked like lizards with scales. His name was Drax. He represented the throne hegemony. They were one of the most powerful members. Your species is still new to the galaxy, Drax said. You must understand. Slavery is technically illegal. But enforcement is complicated. Many economic interests are involved. We cannot disrupt the entire galactic economy for a few primitive workers. Primitive workers. He called the children primitive workers. Zhao stood very still. She looked at each council member. She saw the truth now. They knew. They had always known. And they did not care. She activated her communicator. The signal went directly to Earth, to Admiral Kovalenko. To the entire human government. We gave you 72 hours to act, Zhao said. Her voice echoed in the chamber. You have chosen to do nothing. Very well. Humanity will retrieve our children ourselves. She reached into her bag. She pulled out a document. It was Earth's official withdrawal from the Galactic Council. Stay out of our way. Thelnox stood up. This is unacceptable. You cannot simply leave the council. There are procedures. Zhao turned to face him. Her eyes were cold. You taught us the galaxy was civilized. You lied. Now you will learn what happens when you hurt a human child. She walked out. The council chamber erupted in chaos behind her. Back on Earth, the military mobilization accelerated. Shipyards worked day and night. Every warship was prepared for combat. Weapons were loaded. Crews were briefed. Within 1 week, 40 human warships gathered in orbit. 8 of them were dreadnoughts, the largest and most powerful ships humanity had ever built. They had never been used in combat before. The fleet was designated Task Force Fury. Admiral Kovalenko took personal command. The mission was clear. Find all slave facilities. Extract all human children. Eliminate the Vorak Syndicate. The rules of engagement were simple. Weapons free on any Vorak asset. Anyone who harbored them would be treated as enemies too. Intelligence teams had been working non-stop. They analyzed the data from the first facility. They tracked Vorak shipping routes. They intercepted communications. They identified 3 more facilities. Task Force Fury split into 3 groups. They would hit all 3 targets at once. No warnings. No negotiations. Just overwhelming force. The attacks happened simultaneously. Human Marines dropped from orbit. They breached the facilities in minutes. The fighting was brutal, but the humans showed no mercy to slavers. At Facility Delta, the Vorak commander tried to use children as hostages. He put a weapon to a boy's head. He demanded the humans leave. Sergeant Paula Diaz was 2 kilometers away. She set up her rifle. She looked through the scope. She controlled her breathing. 1 shot. 1 chance. She pulled the trigger. The bullet traveled faster than sound. It hit the Vorak commander between his eyes. He dropped instantly. The boy was safe. All 3 raids were successful. 800 children were recovered. 800 more stolen childhoods ended. But the medics found something in the data logs, transaction records, shipping manifests. The Vorak had 47 facilities, spread across 12 star systems. There were thousands of children still enslaved. The news spread across the galaxy. Humans had attacked multiple facilities. They had killed Vorak soldiers. Several council races sent angry messages to Earth. They demanded humanity stand down. They called it aggression. They threatened sanctions. Admiral Kovalenko recorded a response. It was broadcast on every channel. Every species in the galaxy heard it. "We asked for your help," Kovalenko said. His voice was hard as steel. "You did nothing. We asked for justice. You laughed. Now we do not ask anymore, we take, and God help anyone standing between us and our children." Task Force Fury did not wait for responses. They moved to the next targets. More raids, more rescues, more facilities destroyed. The galaxy watched in shock. Humans were supposed to be peaceful. They were new members. They were supposed to follow the rules. But now they fought like demons protecting their young, and they were just getting started. 4 months passed. Task Force Fury moved like a storm across the galaxy. Every week brought new raids. Every raid brought more children home. Facility after facility fell to human forces. The tactics were always the same. Fast insertion, overwhelming firepower, zero tolerance for resistance. The children always came first. Everything else was secondary. By the end of the 3rd month, humans had hit 42 facilities. They recovered 5,847 children. Each one was documented. Each one received medical care. Each one got to call home, but it was not without cost. 127 human Marines died in the operations. Every single one was a volunteer. Every single one knew the risks. They died protecting children they had never met. The Vorak Syndicate was desperate. They were losing facilities. They were losing slaves. They were losing money, so they did something dangerous. They asked for help. The throne hegemony answered. They were a major council member. They had military power. They had always done business with the Vorak. Now they would protect their investments. Intelligence warned Admiral Kovalenko. The throne were moving warships. They were setting a trap. The target was Facility Arcturus. It still held 1,200 children. Kovalenko knew it was a trap. But he also knew those children needed rescue. He made his choice. 3 human destroyers would go. They would get those children out. The ships arrived at Arcturus. The destroyers Defiant, Phoenix, and Aurora dropped into orbit. Marines prepared for deployment. Everything seemed normal. Then the trap sprung. 90 warships appeared. Vorak and Thrawn vessels surrounded the human ships. The odds were 30 to 1. Captain Sarah Mitchell commanded the Defiant. She opened a channel to her crew. Her voice was calm. "We knew this might happen. Our mission has not changed. Get those children to safety." The 3 human ships fought like cornered lions. Their weapons fired continuously. They destroyed 12 enemy ships in the first minute. But there were too many. The enemy surrounded them. The Phoenix took critical damage. Her engine core breached. She exploded with all hands. 63 crew members died in seconds. The Aurora lost shields. Enemy fire tore through her hull. She started to break apart, but her captain managed to get the crew to escape pods. Most of them survived. The Defiant was alone. Enemy ships closed in. Captain Mitchell knew her ship was dying. But she had one final duty. She activated the long-range transmitter. She sent coordinates, the exact location of the children on the planet below. She sent everything. Facility layouts, guard positions, everything needed for a rescue. Then she gave her final order. All remaining power to weapons. We're taking as many as we can with us. The Defiant exploded 12 seconds later, but she destroyed 4 more enemy ships first. The message reached Admiral Kovalenko 48 hours later. He read the coordinates. He saw the tactical data. He understood what Captain Mitchell had done. She gave her life so those children could be saved. Kovalenko did not hesitate. He activated the 4th Fleet, 60 warships, the largest human military operation ever launched. They would go to Arcturus. They would honor Captain Mitchell's sacrifice. The 4th Fleet arrived in force. They did not ask for permission. They did not negotiate. They came in guns blazing. The Battle of Arcturus lasted 11 hours. It was the largest space battle in modern galactic history, 90 enemy ships against 60 human vessels. The humans fought with tactics the galaxy had never seen. They used weapons they had kept secret, kinetic bombardment systems that hit like meteors, directed electromagnetic pulses that shut down enemy ships, cyber warfare that turned enemy computers against them. The human ship Vengeance had its engines destroyed. It was drifting dead in space. Enemy fire kept hitting it. The crew was evacuating, but Captain Rodriguez saw something. A transport ship was leaving the planet. It was full of rescued children, and a throne carrier was moving to intercept it. Rodriguez made a decision. He ordered everyone off his ship except himself. Then he fired the manual thrusters. The Vengeance started moving, slowly at first, then faster. The ship rammed the throne carrier at full speed. Both vessels exploded. The transport with the children escaped safely. Captain Rodriguez died saving 600 kids he would never meet. The battle ended with complete human victory. 40 enemy ships destroyed. The rest fled. 8 human ships were lost. 3,000 casualties. But all 1,200 children were rescued. The galaxy was shocked. Humans had defeated a combined fleet. They had shown military capability far beyond what anyone expected. Humans had been hiding their true strength all along. The Galactic Council called an emergency session. The throne representative tried to justify their actions. They claimed they were protecting commercial interests. They said humans were the aggressors. Most council members stayed silent, but one species spoke up, the Kthari. They were a reptilian race known for their honor code. Ambassador Sizral addressed the council. His voice hissed with anger. We have seen the evidence. We have watched the trials. The humans are not aggressors. They are rescuers, and we should be ashamed. Meanwhile, Earth established its own tribunal. The trials were broadcast across the galaxy. Every species could watch. Captured Vorak slavers were put on trial. The evidence was overwhelming. The children testified. The galaxy had to watch their stories, had to hear what was done to them. Medical experiments, torture, starvation, death. One testimony went viral across galactic networks. An 11-year-old boy named Marcus Webb stood before the tribunal. He told them about his sister. She had gotten an infection in her leg. The slavers refused to treat her. Medicine cost money. She died slowly over 3 weeks. I held her hand, Marcus said. His voice was quiet. She asked me why nobody came to help us. I told her someone would. I promised her. But I lied. She died thinking nobody cared. The testimony changed something in the galaxy. Public opinion shifted. Many species began questioning their own governments. Why had nobody acted? Why had the council done nothing? Admiral Kovalenko received new intelligence. The Vorak leadership was in hiding. They were on Throne Prime, the Throne homeworld. They were being protected by the Throne government. Kovalenko demanded their surrender. The Throne refused. They cited sovereignty. They said humans had no authority on their world. The Admiral's staff debated for hours. Attacking a homeworld was different. It crossed a line. It would mean real war. Galactic War. Kovalenko left the meeting. He went to the medical ship Sanctuary. It was where the rescued children were recovering. He walked through the wards. He saw their faces, their scars, their missing limbs, their empty eyes. A 14-year-old girl named Maya Okonkwo approached him. She had been a slave for 6 years. She took his hand gently. Will you make them stop? She asked. So no one else has to go through this? Kovalenko looked into her eyes. He saw the pain there, the trauma, the hope that this would mean something. He made his decision right there. He returned to his flagship. He gave the order, prepare the fleet. We're going to Throne Prime. The human fleet arrived at Throne Prime like an avenging angel. 120 warships appeared in the system. It was the largest military force humanity had ever assembled. Admiral Kovalenko sent one message to the throne government. It was simple and clear. Surrender all Vorak leadership. Surrender all remaining human children. Pay reparations for your crimes. You have 6 hours. The Throne High Command responded with defiance. They said humans had no authority. They claimed treaty protections. They had backing from other council members. Their defenses were strong. Orbital platforms, planetary shields, a home fleet of 120 ships. They believed they were safe. They were wrong. Kovalenko did not want to occupy their world. He was not there for conquest. He was there for justice. And he would get it. The assault began with cyber warfare. Commander Sarah Chen led the digital attack. Her team had been preparing for weeks. They knew Throne computer systems. They knew the vulnerabilities. The attack was devastating. Throne networks fell within hours. Defense grids went offline. Communication systems failed. But Chen found something else. She found files, transaction records, banking data, shipping manifests. The evidence was damning. The Throne government had not just harbored the Vorak. They had been partners. Throne corporations funded the slavery operation. They purchased slaves for their own use. Some children had been sent to Throne medical facilities for experiments. Chen transmitted everything. The data went to Earth, to the Tribunal, to every news network in the galaxy. Everyone would see the truth. Admiral Kovalenko saw the evidence. Something changed in his eyes. Something cold and terrible. All pretense of restraint disappeared. He activated a protocol. It was called Scorched Earth. It meant total warfare. No mercy, no quarter. Complete destruction of military targets. The human fleet opened fire. Orbital bombardment began. Not on cities. Not on civilians. But on every military installation. Every defense platform. Every government facility. The Throne defense platforms were destroyed systematically. One by one they exploded. Their home fleet tried to intervene. The battle was fierce, but human weapons were superior. Human tactics were better. Human determination was absolute. The battle lasted 11 days. It was brutal, relentless. The Throne military was overwhelmed. They had never faced an enemy like this. Humans fought like they had nothing to lose, because in their minds they had already lost too much. On the 11th day, human Marines landed on Throne Prime. It was the first human ground invasion of a council member homeworld. Nobody thought it would happen, but humanity had crossed that line. Colonel Marcus Stone led Special Forces Team Reaper. They had one target, the Vorak compound. Intelligence showed it was in the capital city. Underground, heavily defended, Team Reaper inserted by stealth. They moved through the city at night. They avoided patrols. They reached the compound entrance at dawn. The assault was swift and violent. Reaper team breached the outer defenses in minutes. They fought through corridors, past guards, through security doors. Nothing stopped them. They reached the lower levels. And they found more children. 200 of them. Not just humans. Other species too. All enslaved, all suffering. The Vorak leadership tried to escape. They had a secret tunnel. But Reaper team was faster. They caught them in the escape route. One by one, the Vorak leaders were eliminated. All except one, the head of the syndicate. He was kept alive. He would stand trial. Stone also seized a massive data cache, files and records going back decades, transaction logs with names. 12 council member races were implicated. 12 powerful governments had profited from slavery. The evidence was transmitted immediately. The galaxy watched as the data was revealed. Government officials, corporate executives, even some council members themselves, all connected to the slavery network. The Galactic Council split. Half the members demanded human withdrawal. They called it an illegal invasion. They threatened military action. The other half, led by the Cathari, reviewed the evidence carefully. They were disgusted by what they found. Ambassador Sral of the Cathari made a speech. It was broadcast across every network. We thought humans were soft because they asked before taking. We were fools. They asked because they hoped we were better than we are. We failed that hope. We failed basic decency. 5 council races made a decision. They withdrew from the council. They formed a tentative alliance with humanity. They said enough was enough. These 5 races revealed more information. Slavery was not rare. It was widespread. Dozens of species had been victimized over centuries. The council had always known. They had always ignored it. Because powerful members profited from it, human fleets now controlled 7 star systems. They had rescued over 8,000 children. They had destroyed the Vorak Syndicate. But Admiral Kovalenko was not finished. He broadcast a message to every species in the galaxy. His face was hard. His eyes were cold. His voice carried the weight of righteous fury. We came for our children. We found your shame. We found a galaxy built on suffering, a civilization that profits from slavery. This ends now. Every slaver, every world that harbors them, every government that profits from suffering. We are coming for you all. The remaining council members were terrified. Humanity had shown its strength. They had shown they would not stop, and now they threatened the entire galactic order. An emergency council session was called. Only the remaining members attended. The debate was heated. Some wanted to negotiate. Others wanted to surrender. But one race pushed for war, the Zorthax Ascendancy. They were the most powerful military force in the known galaxy. They had the largest fleet, the most advanced weapons. They had never been defeated. The Zorthax representative stood before the council. His species looked like armored warriors. They lived for combat. They respected strength, and they saw humanity as a threat to galactic order. He proposed a final solution to the human problem: military action, complete and overwhelming. They would crush humanity. They would restore order. They would make an example. The vote was called. 7 members voted yes, 5 voted no. The decision was made. The council authorized military action against humanity. A galactic war was now inevitable, and humanity stood alone against the most powerful military alliance in history. The Zorthax Ascendancy led the coalition fleet. 800 warships gathered at the rally point. 7 council races contributed forces. It was the largest military fleet assembled in 2,000 years. They believed victory was certain. Humanity was one species, one small territory, limited resources. They were catastrophically wrong. When the coalition fleet moved toward human space, they found something unexpected. Hidden defense networks activated. Automated weapons platforms appeared. They had been there all along, cloaked, waiting. Humanity had been preparing for war since they first reached the stars. The 5 council races that allied with humanity brought their fleets too. The Cathari, the Velon, the Drex, the Milani, the Quarren. They came to stand with humans, not because they were forced, but because it was right. More ships arrived. Dozens of previously enslaved species sent volunteers. They remembered who freed them. They remembered who fought for their children. Small fleets, old ships. But they came anyway. Admiral Kovalenko stood on the bridge of his flagship. He looked at the tactical display. 400 ships. Against 800. The odds were still bad, but they were not impossible. The fleets met in neutral space, a region called the Crucible Nebula. It would be the largest space battle in galactic history. The battle began at dawn on Earth. Children across the planet watched. The same children who had been rescued. They saw humanity fighting for them, fighting for all children, fighting to make sure it never happened again. The coalition attacked first. 800 ships unleashed their weapons, space filled with fire and light. The human fleet did not retreat. They moved forward. Into the storm. Humanity used psychological warfare. They broadcast transmissions, videos of freed children, testimony from trials, evidence of council crimes. The coalition crews saw it. Many started questioning why they were fighting. The battle raged for 3 days, ship against ship, fleet against fleet. Humans took heavy losses, but they employed innovative tactics. They used the nebula's radiation to hide movements. They sent kamikaze drones to disable larger vessels. They used AI-assisted targeting that gave them an edge. On the second day, something changed. 3 coalition species started having internal problems. Their own populations protested the war. Citizens demanded answers. Why were they fighting humans? Why had their governments supported slavery? Some coalition ships stopped fighting. Some even switched sides. The unified front began to crack. The Zorthax would not accept this. They could not lose. Their pride would not allow it. So they prepared their ultimate weapon, a device called the Starbreaker. It would destroy the entire human fleet, but it would also kill millions on nearby colonies. They did not care. The Zorthax flagship Eternal Dominance began charging the weapon. Human sensors detected it. Alarms went off across every ship. They had 10 minutes before it fired, but humanity had prepared for this too. A stealth team had been aboard the Eternal Dominance for 3 days, led by Commander Lisa Park. They had infiltrated during the chaos of battle. They had been waiting for this moment. Park and her team reached the weapon core. They planted charges. They set them to overload the power system. It would destroy the flagship and everything around it. Park opened a channel to Kovalenko. Mission complete, Admiral. Get everyone clear. Kovalenko understood. Park and her team could not escape. They were giving their lives to save everyone else. He gave the order. All human ships retreated. Fast. The Starbreaker fired, but the sabotage worked. The weapon overloaded. The Eternal Dominance exploded in a massive blast. The explosion took 40 coalition ships with it. The flagship was gone. The Zorthax command was destroyed. Coalition morale shattered. Ships began retreating. Some surrendered. Others fled. The battle was over. Humanity and its allies had won, but the war was not over, not yet. Human special operations teams continued hunting slavers, individual targets, across 100 worlds. The protocol was called Fury Protocol. Every slaver would face justice, no matter where they hid. Former Vorak members were found in distant systems, in hiding, in exile. But they were found. They were brought to trial. Some resisted. None survived resistance. The old Galactic Council dissolved. It collapsed under the weight of its own corruption. The evidence was too much. The public outcry too loud. Member governments fell. Leaders were prosecuted. The entire system changed. A new organization formed. The Coalition of Free Species. Humanity led it. But every species had an equal voice. Equal representation. The first law they passed was the Universal Declaration of Sapient Rights. Slavery was abolished completely. Enforcement was mandatory. No exceptions. The second law was the Restitution Accords. Species that profited from slavery would pay reparations to victims, to their families, to rebuilding destroyed lives. Nations that refused faced economic embargo or military action if necessary. The final count broke hearts across Earth. 8,923 children recovered. But 214 did not survive to be rescued. 214 families would never see their children again. A memorial was built on Luna. The Never Again Memorial. Every name was carved in stone. Every child who died, every Marine who fell, every person who gave their life for justice. Admiral Kovalenko visited on the 1-year anniversary. He stood before the wall of names. He removed his medals, all of them. He placed them at the base of the memorial. "I did what you would have wanted," he whispered, "but I wish I could have done more. I wish I could have saved you all." The rescued children received extensive rehabilitation, medical care, psychological support, education. It took years, but humanity poured every resource into helping them heal. Many of those children became counselors. They helped other species freed from slavery. They understood the trauma. They knew how to help. They turned their pain into purpose. Maya Okonkwo was 16 now, the girl who asked the Admiral to make them stop. She stood before the new coalition assembly. Representatives from 70 species watched her speak. "People ask why humans fought so hard," she said. Her voice was strong now, clear. Why they risked everything. The answer is simple. Because every child matters. Every person matters. We nearly tore the galaxy apart to save us. Now we will remake it so no one ever needs saving again. The galaxy changed. Fundamentally. Humanity did not just win a war. They forced galactic civilization to evolve. To become better. To live up to the ideals they had always claimed. Former coalition members reformed their governments. Many became close allies with humanity. The Zorthax ascendancy fell apart. They were replaced by a democratic federation. One that valued honor over conquest. Slavery was reduced by 90% in 2 decades. Active enforcement fleets patrolled constantly. Human-led, multi-species crewed. They hunted any remaining slavers without mercy. 20 years after the war ended, Captain Marcus Webb stood on the bridge of his ship. The same Marcus who testified about his sister, the boy who held her hand as she died. He was 31 now, confident, strong, a decorated officer. He commanded the flagship Defiant II, named after the ship that sacrificed everything for the children at Arcturus. His crew was multi-species, human, Cthari, Velen, others, all working together. A distress call came through, an unknown species. Their transmission was broken, desperate. Their children were missing. Possible abduction. Webb's crew looked to him, waiting for orders. He remembered being that scared child in the mines. Hoping someone would come. Someone did come. Now it was his turn. He smiled. But it was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had seen darkness and chose to fight it. All hands to battle stations, he ordered. His tactical officer opened a channel to the coordinates. Webb transmitted his message. It would reach the kidnappers. Whoever they were, wherever they were. This is Captain Marcus Webb of the Free Species Coalition. You have taken children. We are coming, and you will pay. The camera pulled back. 20 ships flanked the Defiant II, each crewed by multiple species, each bearing the symbol of the coalition, a shield protecting a child's hand. Webb leaned back in his command chair. He thought about his sister, about Emma and Maya and all the others, about the price that was paid. The galaxy learned, he whispered. You do not touch humanity's children, and you do not touch anyone's children. Not anymore. His fleet jumped to faster than light speed, racing toward another rescue, another group of children who needed heroes, and humanity would always answer that call, because that was what they did. That was who they were. Protectors, liberators, the species that would burn the galaxy down to save a single child, and the galaxy was better for it.